This is a short review of the Maimeri Puro Oil Paints. They are in the premium price range, and so I compare them with Blockx and Old Holland paints. First I check the opacity or transparency of the color. The Maimeri Puro Ultramarine Blue has a nice transparency. As you can see, the Blockx Ultramarine Blue has more tinning strands. The hue of the Blockx Ultramarine is slightly darker. Now I mix the paints with titanium white. Both blues are neutral, but they have more green shade than red shade. I think the Blockx is a more neutral blue. The Maimeri paints here are from a sample set with ultramarine blue, cadmium yellow light, cadmium red light and burnt sienna. Next is a cadmium red light. I will compare it with an Old Holland cadmium red light. Perhaps that is not entirely fair, because the Old Holland paints, the cadmium paints, are way more expensive than the Maimeri here in Europe. First the Maimeri Puro. The opacity is good. Now the paint from Old Holland. There's not so much different in opacity, but in hue. The Maimeri hue reminds me of a scarlet red or a vermilion. Mixing with titanium white again. The Maimeri color also has a different character here. Next is the cadmium yellow light, and I will compare it with Blockx cadmium yellow light. The opacity is good. And here also a different hue. I think the Maimeri goes a bit on the greenish side, and the Blockx is very neutral yellow light. Same when mixing with titanium white. I add a little titanium white to make that clearer. Next is a burnt sienna. I will compare it to an Old Holland burnt sienna. The Maimeri burnt sienna is labeled as transparent, or it is unusual. The Old Holland is labeled as opaque. This is not fully transparent. And this is. Very different pigments. Now mixing with titanium white. I think the Old Holland is a bit special, but I love it. Now I will mix both ultramarine paints with Blockx Cadmium Yellow Light and to get a green color. This has way more tinting strength. Now I put a bit titanium white to the mixes. I didn't expect such a difference. But okay, the Blockx Ultramarine is 50% more expensive than the Maimeri here in Europe. Now I will mix both yellows with cadmium red light from Maimeri to get an orange. Here too you can clearly see the differences in the shades of yellow. Mixing again with some titanium white. I think the orange from the Maimeri cadmiums is nice if you want to have an orange that is, when tinning, not so pinkish. Now I will mix both Siennas with cadmium yellow light from Blockx. I think the two colors are difficult to compare. And finally a photo of the mixtures after the colors have dried for a day.